So this is definitely not what I had originally imagined how I would wrap up my trip here in the Netherlands. But a lot has happened in the past 2 weeks. And originally, I planned a video, finished editing it, and scheduled for release, and then started filming the next one. But because of what happened, I felt that it wasn't right to post those. Simply because there's a few shots in there and some stuff I talked about. I just didn't feel it was the right thing to do. So we're gonna take a detour from that. But because this is my last week here in the Netherlands, I figure I'd make a video to wrap up this trip and to recap what happened in this past 2, 3 weeks, and also talk about my feelings and experience here in the Netherlands and thoughts, as well as some content I have lined up. Yeah. Hi, my name is Andrew. I left the corporate grind after a burnout and achieved financial freedom in the most anticlimactic way. Join me as I share my journey towards simple living and discover how you too can live a fulfilling and financially sustainable life. There's more than one way to go home. So let's go back to 2 weeks ago. Geiss and I originally planned a trip to the northern part of Italy to explore some of the cities and do some sightseeing there. The plan was to fly into Bergamo, spend a day in Milan, drive to Verona to stay 3 nights there, and then somewhere in there we'll make a day trip to Venice, and then finally wrapping up the trip and spend a couple of nights in the Lake Como area. So we flew into Bergamo on the Sunday morning and picked up the car, drove to Milan, and was able to check out Milan for the day. So then after that, we drove ourselves to Verona to stay the first night. And that's when we got the news that Geiss's dad is not doing well. So his dad has dementia and his health has been on a decline. We actually went to visit him the day before we flew out, and his health wasn't good, but it wasn't dire either. So we spent the night there, and the next day we started arranging to head back to the Netherlands, not knowing how fast things would deteriorate. So we booked the flight for the following morning, the first flight out, and we decided to stay the night at the Bergamo airport because we had a rental car. And by the time we got to the airport, returned the car, and ready to spend the night there, we got the news that his dad had already passed away. Everything just happened so fast. I mean, there was like this grieving process, and then on the other hand, it was all heads down, organizing the funeral, sending out the cards. There was a lot going on for that week that when we came back. And because this is my first funeral experience, I didn't know what to expect or do. I just knew that I should be there emotionally for Geiss and his family. And because of the whole thing, I think I got closer to his family and got to know more about his family as well as his dad, and felt even more of the love that this family has for one another. And I really admire that. And I'm just so incredibly grateful to have been able to meet Geiss and his family and to experience this love for even a week. And I learned a lot more about his dad, which made me respect him even more than I did before. And I want to talk a little bit about his dad because he's a really big inspiration for me, and in a way I really look up to how he lived his life. So even though that his dad has dementia, his love for his wife and kids never faded away. Every time we visit him, he'd be singing, happy, and always telling Geiss how happy he is to see everyone. I remember there's this time he fell, so he was in the hospital for a bit. And there's this one time we went visit him and took him out for ice cream because he loves sweets. He still remembers that his wife likes the tip of the ice cream cone, so he saved that for her. And when I saw that, my heart melted. It's such an inspiration of love from a man with dementia still remembering what his wife likes. And I remember there's this time where I asked Geis about his hobbies, what he did after work. And he told me that sometimes he would pick them up from school, but every time when he gets home from work, he'd play with his kids. Like, that is such a good dad. No matter how tired he is after work, he still want to play with his kids. So while organizing for the funeral, they brought out a few of his items. And the two things that stood out were this belt that he wore. So he got this belt from when he was in the Boy Scouts. And apparently this was the one and only belt he ever had. And to me, this just shows how simple of a person he is. He didn't have any desires to get a new belt or a different belt. Like, it was just the one and only belt he ever had. And then there's also this briefcase he used to go to work. It was the same briefcase he used every day. This just shows how simple of a person he is. He didn't need a lot, but he was so happy. He loved his wife, he loved his kids, and I really admire that. If he wasn't the definition of a simple man, I honestly don't know who is. And another thing that really inspired me is hearing stories from his family about how little does he care about what other people think. And this is not in a bad way, but more so that he is comfortable being himself. And to me, that's such an inspiration. A simple man who is comfortable in his own skins, who loves his family, his wife and kids. I think that's the life that I aspire to live. So I'm just very grateful to have been able to cross paths with him. I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason, and everyone you encounter them for a reason, because there's always something to learn from them and the experiences. And with everything that happened in the past 2 weeks, it really reaffirms my belief and my desire to live a simple life. Because Geis's dad is a great example of how a simple life can be happy, one that is filled with love and joy, and that the happiness that he had in his lifetime is not from materialistic things. So I find that very inspirational. And I just want to throw it out there that simple living isn't no living. I think with a lot of things in life, it's all about finding the right balance, and that means different for everyone. But I find that with the society that we are in today, which is very heavily skewed towards being capitalistic and materialistic, sometimes it's easy for us to lose sight of what's truly important. So by focusing on living simply and the simpler things, I think it helps us to find that right balance, whatever it means, towards living a happier and more fulfilled life. And I'm also very inspired by Geis's dad to continue working on living a life that's more true to me, because if you've been following for a while now, you've probably seen my struggles and my growth on me working on just living a life that's more true to me and being me. Watching some of the recent videos that I put out, I noticed that I slowly gravitate towards making videos as if they were corporate presentations. And that's not what I want. So it's something that I'm constantly working on, is to feel more comfortable just being me on the camera. It sounds weird, because it is weird. And just be okay with saying things that are less than perfect, and just showing more of the vulnerable side of me and my life and my journey. And I think there are certain things that I talk about that are more serious by nature, such as personal finance when it comes to like the FIRE movement. But I just don't want to like make it so presentation-like and serious, because I think making videos is supposed to be fun and not presentational. Is that a word? And also, by making videos in a presentational way, it kind of implies that I have the answers to life, or that I know that this FIRE movement is going to work. But in all honesty, like, I don't have the answers to life, and I don't know if this FIRE movement is going to work. And that's why I want to share more about my journey and my experiences, things that I've learned, mistakes that I've made. I think that's where the values are, and not me regurgitating information that you can easily find online, or pretending to be someone that have the the answers to life because I don't. So I don't know if that's what you sign up for, but as much as I want to make videos to help people, to inspire people to live a simpler life, you're also going to get a slice of my life, my journey, and watching this guy grow as a person. So looking forward to some of the content that I have planned for when I'm back in Toronto. In the next mini series of my Simple Living Diaries, I want to focus on my experience, my entire journey of reaching financial independence, some of the things that I am working on as a person, some of the challenges of being financially independent in my 30s, such as right now I am hopping between Canada and Netherlands and trying to figure out the tax system, and also going back to make a video that I've been putting off for a long time now, which is to talk about why I did not like tech. Because in my tech burnout video, I kind of just skim through the surface, but there's a video that I want to make to go into details of all the things that I did not like, and perhaps also talk about things that I do like. And also because Toronto is a very populous and competitive city, I want to share more thoughts about the city in comparison to, I guess, the Netherlands and my thoughts around that. But yeah, that's what I have planned, but I think we'll see how everything goes because life is pretty unpredictable. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's recap my time here in the Netherlands this time and some final thoughts I have. So I actually didn't realize how much I've done on this trip. It's been nearly 3 months since I've been here, and honestly, it just blew by so fast. And having to write down all the things so that I can remember to talk about it, I was like, oh wow, I did a lot this time. So yeah, I went to Kokenhof, which is the tulip garden for tourists, and that was a very nice experience. We went on the last weekend that I was still open. A lot of people, but the flowers are still very nice. So it's one of those experiences that I will remember. And then we also went to Norwich and Sea. I hope I said that correctly. It's a beach around the area of Kokenhof. We went there to walk around, and also I had my first kibbeling experience. Kibbeling is this fried fish that is a Dutch snack, I guess. I remember last time I was here, worstebroodjes and bitterballen were my favorite. And I think having tried kibbeling, it easily is my favorite Dutch food so far, until whatever next that I discover that's better. We also went to Sicily. We went to Agrigento, checked out the Valley of the Temples, and then we went to Caltagirone, which is super cute town in this hill mountain, and we really enjoyed our time there. And then we also went to Syracuse and checked out the island of Ortigia. And then we went to Catania as well as Taormina, and it was such an amazing experience. Amazing food, seafood, arancinis. And for me personally, the highlight was definitely the Taormina Theater, because you get a magnificent view of Mount Etna and the Mediterranean Sea, and it was just amazing. So I highly recommend Taormina if you ever do go to Sicily. And I also got to spend a lot of time with Geis's parents and felt a lot of the love that they have for each other within the family, and I'm very grateful to have been able to experience that, and I felt a part of the family. And even though that our trip to the northern part of Italy didn't go as planned, we did get to see Milan as well as Verona, and I fell in love with Verona the moment we landed. It's so walkable, it's not as touristic, but there's so much charm, which we both love. So we're definitely going to go back to Verona and to finish off the trip to check out Venice and the Lake Como area. And yesterday we actually went to Amsterdam. So this is the first time I've been back to Amsterdam for 11 years. The last time I was here was right after my volunteer trip to Kenya. So that's 11 years ago. And back then I had lost my camera to pickpocketers. So that wasn't the best experience. So going back brings back a lot of memories. Oh, and also we had dim sum there with some friends of Geis, and that was my first dim sum experience here in the Netherlands. Definitely different than Toronto. Not as many selections for dim sum, but they taste pretty good. And I had a lot of opportunity to practice my Dutch, watching Dutch television shows with ondertiteling, which is subtitles. And I think my Dutch has improved. And I know that it is nog niet good, maar next time it will be better, because that's one of the goals for me when I get back to Toronto, is to double down on learning Dutch. So yeah, that's a wrap of my trip here in the Netherlands this time. I think I learned so much about the Dutch culture that I'm really falling in love with the place. I know I'm kind of biased because my partner lives here and I'm in a phase in life where I appreciate quietness and not the hustle bustle of Toronto. So there's definitely some bias there, but I think overall there's a lot to love about the Netherlands here. And I know there's a bunch of you that started following this channel who are from the Netherlands. So I'm very excited to show you guys what life is like in Toronto and parts of Canada. And if you're still watching up until this point, I just want to say thank you, because it means a lot to me to be able to connect with people, whether or not you're from Netherlands or from US or Canada, people who are into the FIRE movement. I'm just very grateful to be able to share this journey with you guys. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.
There's more than one way to go home. Yeah, there's more than